The Galactic Council chamber hovered above the nebula like an ornament of arrogance, its crystalline walls shimmering with colors found nowhere in the natural spectrum. Inside, hundreds of delegates murmured, clicked, buzzed, or vibrated in anticipation. Today's agenda, displayed in glowing runes across the center dais, read simply, "The human problem." A collective ripple of amusement passed through the assembly. Nothing unites an empire quite like belittling something small. The Valorian High Ambassador, a tall being of silver skin and high cheekbones sharp enough to cut atmosphere, clicked his jeweled talons across the podium. "Esteemed species of the Empire," he proclaimed, "we gather to discuss a recent message from the planet known as Earth." A screen flickered on, showing a recording of humanity's transmission. Just 12 calm words spoken in a distinctly human drawl. "Do not attack us. You won't like our response. This is your warning." The tone was polite, unmistakably calm, almost bored. No weapons demonstration. No threats. No lengthy diplomatic reasoning. And that, somehow, offended the Empire more than any declaration of war could have. A resonant boom of laughter erupted from the Draxan brood, an insectoid species famed for both their brutality and their inability to detect sarcasm. Their leader, a hulking creature with mandible tattoos indicating he'd killed at least 9 siblings, laughed. "Humans warn? Tiny mammals squeak." The chamber roared with condescension. Someone even projected a hologram of a human child waving a wooden stick at a juggernaut tank, which drew another round of applause. Only one delegation did not laugh: the Hindu scholars. Ancient, robed and trembling, their 4 black eyes quivered with memory. But their discomfort went unnoticed, or worse, dismissed as eccentricity. The Valorian tilted his head. "And now, the human representative has arrived, apparently by her own request. Let us indulge her." A soft chime echoed as the chamber doors opened. Commander Evelyn Cross stepped inside with the casual confidence of someone entering a favorite cafe rather than the center of galactic power. Her Navy uniform was simple, unadorned except for a matte black pin shaped like a crescent. She carried a stainless steel thermos, coffee of course. She couldn't function without it. Her expression was mild, almost warm, the kind of smile kindergarten teachers gave to children drawing on the walls. Yet the moment she entered, half the species involuntarily stiffened. Something instinctive, buried deep in evolutionary code, whispered, "Danger." Evelyn seemed unbothered by the stares. She walked to the center, boots echoing rhythmically, and placed her thermos on the edge of the podium with a soft metallic tap. "Good morning, everyone," she said cheerfully. "Or evening. Hard to tell in space." Her voice was gentle, but there was a softness beneath it that felt engineered, intentional, like she had sanded down every edge except the ones she wanted people to cut themselves on. The Valorian ambassador bowed slightly, a gesture laced with superiority. "Human Representative Cross, we appreciate your attendance. Your species issued a curious warning. We assumed it must be a mistranslation." Evelyn smiled. "No mistranslation. We pick our words carefully." "And yet," the Valorian replied, "you presume to warn us? Humanity is young, primitive, barely spacefaring." "Barely," she echoed thoughtfully, "but persistent." Another ripple of laughter skated around the chamber. A Hindu scholar rose shakily from his crystalline seat. "Ambassador, we must reconsider dismissing this species. Their history, our records, show incidents of unchecked ferocity. When provoked." The Valorian waved a dismissive hand. Yes, your myths and ancient panic. Humans are unpredictable, but only in the way small creatures are unpredictable. Like rodents." Evelyn tapped her thermos lid once, gaze steady. "We prefer the term apex omnivores. Sounds friendlier." The Draxan brood chieftain barked a laugh. "Human jokes. Soft skull creatures try humor to hide fear." Evelyn met his gaze without blinking. "If fear helps you sleep at night, sweetheart, go with that." A subtle hush spread. Did she just call a war-bred monster sweetheart? Her smile didn't falter. There was nothing aggressive in her tone. If anything, She sounded like she was talking to a child refusing to eat vegetables. And yet something indescribable in the room tightened. A few delegates recorded biometric sensations, elevated heart rate, shallow breath, a tremor in their secondary limbs. Evelyn unscrewed her thermos lid, letting the scent of roasted coffee drift out. The chamber's air filters worked overtime trying to classify it. "I came here today," she continued, "because I want this council to understand one thing. Humans do not seek war. We prefer peace, cooperation, negotiation, board games, barbecues, long walks, the occasional bad karaoke night. More laughter, this time uneasy. But," she said softly, "if you attack us, we won't respond with equal force. We'll respond with decisive force. And there is a difference." The Valorian leaned forward, lips pulling into a condescending smile. "Humans lack the military capacity to threaten even one border sector." "Oh, absolutely," Evelyn agreed cheerfully. "On paper." The chamber paused. The Hindu scholar trembled harder. Listen to the tone. That is the tone their ancestors used when they purged the star beasts in the old age. She is warning you. No one listened. Instead, the Draxan chieftain slammed his claw onto the railing. "Enough. The Empire will crush Earth swiftly. Your world will kneel." Evelyn inhaled slowly. "We don't kneel easily. Bad for the knees. Then the Empire will break them." She tilted her head as though considering a mildly inconvenient scheduling conflict. "If that's what you want." A silence fell, strange, heavy, shapeless. Not fear. Not yet. But the outline of fear. The ghost of fear. The Valorian ambassador straightened decisively. "Then it is settled. The Empire shall launch a demonstration assault on Earth to correct this insolence." Several species cheered. Others glanced uncertainly at Evelyn, who stood still as stone, expression unreadable. Finally she exhaled, almost wistfully. "We tried to be polite. My grandma always said you offer a warning before you offer a lesson. But if you insist on choosing the lesson first." She picked up her thermos. A dozen alien sensors quietly screamed in alarm at the human's calm heart rate. She wasn't worried. Not remotely. That terrified them more than anger ever could. "Commander Cross," the Valorian said smugly, "do you have any final words before we proceed?" She gave him a bright, almost sympathetic smile. "Just one. When this is over, I hope some of you survive. You seem nice enough." The chamber lights dimmed slightly, a coincidence of power fluctuation, but the timing made it feel deliberate. Several aliens flinched. "And what," the Draxan chieftain demanded, "does that mean, little mammal?" Evelyn looked up as though listening to something beyond the chamber walls, something distant, powerful, inevitable. Her smile faded into something gentler, sadder, sharper. "It means," she whispered, "you've already made your last mistake." For the first time across the entire assembly, no one laughed. Every species felt it then. Something unseen shifting in the cosmic dark, like a predator rising from tall grass. The council chamber screens flickered. A coded signal pulsed through the station. Origin. Sol system. Evelyn closed her thermos with a click that echoed like a countdown. "Earth has received your decision," she said softly. "And we've begun our response." The room froze. The signal on the screen expanded. Lines of encryption spinning into a single message. Phase 1 activated. Evelyn looked up, eyes glinting with a quiet, devastating certainty. "Good luck," she whispered. "You're going to need it." And as the lights shuddered again, every envoy suddenly realized something horrible. This wasn't humanity begging to avoid war. This was humanity being merciful. For now. The Empire's first scout fleet entered the Sol system like tourists arriving at a beach they fully intended to ruin. 27 ships, polished to an arrogant gleam, pierced the darkness with banners flashing imperial insignia. Their commanders expected a swift display of dominance, a triumphant recording to broadcast across the galaxy. Instead, the moment they crossed Neptune's orbit, every single vessel experienced a simultaneous, catastrophic identity crisis. Systems flickered. Guidance arrays spun in circles. Translators began shouting phrases in perfect American English, phrases the crew didn't understand, but instinctively found insulting. One ship projected the words, "Y'all lost," onto its own hull, and no one could explain why. A Valorian captain demanded diagnostics. The ship's AI replied, "Please insert quarter." No one had any idea what that meant. Inside the flagship, technicians scrambled, mandibles clacking in alarm as their holographic maps dissolved into static. But the static wasn't random. It formed the vague outline of a smiling human face. A cheerful, unsettlingly familiar face. Commander Evelyn Cross appeared on their screens with a cup of coffee steaming beside her. She wasn't in armor. She wasn't surrounded by generals. She looked like she had just stepped out of a quiet office. "Hi there, folks," she said warmly. "You've entered restricted space. Please turn around. We'd hate to embarrass you." The Draxan commander on deck snarled and smacked the console. "Human bluff. Continue forward." Every human satellite, military or not, rotated in eerie unison to follow the incoming fleet. Even the weather satellites. Even the obsolete ones. And then the music started. A crackling, decades-old audio file, an upbeat, energetic rock riff, blared through their communication systems. Dozens of species across the Empire had studied humanity for decades, but nothing prepared them for an ancient Earth anthem screaming, "We're not gonna take it!" Across space. "Is this a war song?" A junior officer whispered in terror. "No," murmured another, his antennae drooping. "It's worse. It's human nostalgia." The Valorian captain muted the transmission through gritted teeth. "Proceed. Humans attempt psychological warfare." How quaint. But as the fleet approached the moon, they found humans already watching them. Thousands of small drones hovered silently, forming geometric patterns, too precise, too symmetrical for Imperial tracking to decode. They moved as if choreographed, each shift of formation perfectly timed to the heartbeat of the music, still echoing through the fleet's corrupted systems. "These drones hold no weapons," reported a sensor officer. "Then why do I feel hunted?" The captain muttered. A Hindu scholar aboard one of the escort ships trembled violently. He recognized the pattern. "Do not move forward," he warned, voice cracking. "This is not a defense formation. This is an invitation. A test. A trap woven in plain sight." The Valorian officers scoffed, but their confidence faltered when a transmission cut through every layer of encryption the Empire had. Evelyn appeared again, leaning against a railing on what appeared to be a balcony overlooking Earth. "Last chance," she said softly. "Please don't make us take this personally." Her tone held no venom, no urgency, no theatrics. That made it infinitely worse. When the fleet ignored her and surged forward, the drones scattered like a flock of metallic birds. In their wake, Earth's defense grid activated, not with a blinding roar, but with a quiet elegance that terrified more effectively than any explosion could. Beams of pale blue light laced across the darkness, slicing through multiple Imperial engines with surgical precision. The ships drifted helplessly, not destroyed, just disabled. Disarmed. Embarrassed. Humans hadn't bothered to fire lethal shots. They didn't need to. Panic rippled through the fleet. The Draxan commander roared in disbelief. "What technology is this? Why did no one warn us humans had such weapons?" The Hindu scholar closed his eyes. "They don't. That's the point. They're not using new technology. They're using your technology against you." On Earth, a group of Marines sat outside a launch facility around a grill, flipping burgers as alarms blared overhead. One soldier glanced at the sky as debris from disabled ships glittered faintly. "Think they'll listen now?" Another shrugged, holding a soda. "Doubt it. Aliens don't listen until we punch 'em in the consequences." Their casual tone, their utter lack of concern, was captured by Imperial surveillance drones. Unintended transmissions spread across the fleet, showing humans laughing, joking, eating snacks while an invasion armada hovered above them. To the Empire, the sight was horrifying. To humans it was simply lunchtime. Back aboard the Valorian flagship, Chaos intensified. Retreat. Someone yelled. Fall back to neutral space. Retreat. The captain snapped. We cannot retreat from primitives. A soft chime interrupted him. Evelyn appeared for the third time. I said you'd be embarrassed, she noted with a sympathetic tilt of her head. But I admire the persistence. Really. It's cute. The word cute caused half the bridge crew to recoil. No one wanted to be cute to a species that treated imminent war like light office banter. You cannot halt the Empire, the captain hissed. Our forces are endless. Evelyn murmured, as if listening to something through an earpiece. Funny you say that. Because the next wave of your invasion just entered Mars orbit, and something interesting is happening. The Valorian captain froze. What sort of something? Evelyn smiled. Your ships are slowing down. That was an understatement. On every Imperial vessel, engines flickered as if smothered. Entire fleets drifted from precision formations into slow, disorganized spirals. What did you do? The Draxan commander demanded. Nothing, Evelyn replied pleasantly. We just introduced your network to something it's never encountered before. Her image leaned closer to the screen, smile soft as a lullaby. A human firewall. Silence swallowed the bridge. A few officers whispered prayers to their ancestors. The Draxan commander's mandibles clicked helplessly. The Indu scholar fell to his knees. It has begun, he whispered. The phase where curiosity becomes fear. The Valorian captain slammed his fist into the console. Human. End this interference immediately. Oh, Evelyn sighed. Sweetheart. I'm not interfering. She tapped the lid of her thermos, the same quiet click that had unnerved the Galactic Council. I'm preparing. The fleet shuddered as yet another wave of systems failed. Light panels dimmed. Life support flickered. Every screen across the Armada synced into a single alert humans had programmed decades earlier, but never activated until now. Phase 2. Observe. Evelyn lifted her thermos, took a slow sip, and smiled so gently it made the entire Empire feel cold. You're not being attacked, she said softly. You're being studied. The transmission cut out. In the stunned silence, the captain whispered. Studied? For what? And from the darkness behind Pluto, an enormous shape began to move. The shape drifting from behind Pluto was not a ship, at least not in the conventional sense. It moved with the slow certainty of something ancient and confident, a construct of matte black alloys and segmented plates that reflected no starlight. Imperial sensors scrambled to identify its mass, its propulsion, its origin, but every classification module returned a single, impossible reading. Unknown. Human-made. Undocumented. The Valorian captain felt his throat tighten. How long has that thing been there? Across the Empire's fractured comm channels, dozens of frightened voices collided. We scanned this system for years, no record of it. What propulsion signature is that? Why can't our scans penetrate its hull? Why does it feel like it's staring at us? When the vessel, or creature, extended metallic limbs like unfolding wings, the fleet recoiled collectively. It wasn't merely large, it was deliberate. Designed. Waiting. And then, on every Imperial screen, Evelyn Cross appeared once more. She was no longer on a balcony or inside a command center. She stood in a dimly lit chamber, surrounded by humming consoles that cast soft blue light across her face. Her expression carried a sharpness that had been absent before, the pleasant veneer melting into something colder, older, inevitable. You ignored our warnings, she said. You dismissed our restraint as weakness. And now we're forced to accelerate our plans. Her voice still held its trademark warmth, but the cadence had shifted. Too measured, too calm, like a surgeon explaining a procedure to a patient moments before anesthesia. This, she continued, gesturing slightly behind her, is Sentinel-9. It's not a weapon. Not yet. It's a translator of sorts. A bridge between what you understand and what we've prepared. The Draxan commander spat at the screen. Human theatrics. Your machine cannot threaten the Empire. Evelyn's smile softened. Theatrics are for audiences. This is for you. As if responding to her voice, Sentinel-9 released a low-frequency pulse. The shockwave rippled silently, passing through ships like a breeze through wheat. Every Imperial vessel flared with warning icons. Shields overloaded. Engines powered down. Communications scrambled. Yet nothing exploded. Nothing burned. Everything simply stopped cooperating. The Valorian captain slammed his palm into the controls. Why do our systems refuse commands? Evelyn's voice answered before the ship's AI could. Because they're following ours. You rely too heavily on standardized code. You unify your empire through shared technology. And you never considered what would happen if someone studied it long enough. What are you saying? The captain demanded. That you built your entire civilization on a network with a backdoor you never found, Evelyn said. We found it 43 years ago. A stunned hush spread across the armada. The number hit like a meteor. Before humans had even launched their first faster-than-light probe, they had already begun preparing for an event like this. Evelyn folded her hands behind her back. Your empire conquers with overwhelming force. Ours prepares with overwhelming patience. A Hindu scholar aboard one of the panicking ships whispered. It is true. They're legends. They do not strike first. But when forced, they unravel nations thread by thread. It is their nature. Humans did not merely defend. They studied. They adapted. They retaliated with disproportionate, unrelenting precision. But the Empire still clung to its pride. You dare, the Draxan commander bellowed, suggest that your primitive species has outmaneuvered the greatest civilization in the galaxy? Evelyn raised an eyebrow, amused. Sweetheart, you invaded a planet where the average person keeps 3 contingency plans for getting stuck in traffic. Behind her, holographic data flared to life, schematics of Imperial fleet architecture, code fragments annotated with human comments, diagrams predicting tactical responses with eerie accuracy. We didn't just prepare for your invasion, she said. We predicted it, modeled it, and we built systems, not weapons, to shape your response. One of the Valorian officers trembled. What response? This one, she replied. Your fear. Sentinel-9 pulsed again, this time activating thousands of dormant satellites hidden across the solar system. They lit up like stars, forming lattices of interconnected nodes. Energy arcs danced between them in fractal patterns too intricate for Imperial computers to parse. As the web activated, the Empire's second wave, still approaching Mars, was instantly rerouted. Their navigation systems painted false coordinates. Their fleet formations dissolved. Their shields collapsed inward, repelled by forces they could not counter. What is happening? The Valorian captain screamed. Why are our fleets turning away from target vectors? Evelyn's gaze hardened. Because we've overridden your navigation protocols. Violence was never our goal. Containment was. The Draxan commander's voice shook with equal parts rage and dread. You intend to trap us? No, she said. We intend to teach you. The lights dimmed behind her, revealing a massive holographic projection of the Milky Way. Sections of it glowed red. Others flickered with unfamiliar colors. We intercepted your star maps decades ago, she explained. The Empire thrives on fear, on compliance. We knew that if we confronted you head-on, you'd scorch half the galaxy out of spite. So we created a different solution. Her fingers tapped a panel. Lines of light shot through the hologram, connecting dozens of star systems. Hyperlanes. Communications hubs. Supply routes. All turning blue. All controlled by humans. You see, she said softly, we didn't upgrade our technology to match yours. We upgraded yours to match ours. Gasps rose across the Imperial channels. What do you want? The Valorian captain whispered. What is your true goal? Our goal, Evelyn said, is balance. Stability. Freedom for the species you've oppressed. And, if possible, peace. Her eyes softened, but her stance remained unyielding. We warned you because we hoped you would make the right choice. But you didn't. And now we must move forward. Sentinel-9 extended its wings fully, casting a vast shadow across the Imperial Armada. Energy spiraled around it, forming a halo of power that made even nearby starlight warp. Your empire stands on the edge of collapse, Evelyn said. Not because we fired a single shot, but because we removed the illusions holding you together. The Valorian captain trembled. This is madness. Maybe, Evelyn replied. But it's necessary. Suddenly the hologram flickered. A new alert appeared. Phase 3, Inversion. Evelyn inhaled slowly, as though steadying herself for the next step. We're almost done, she said. But what comes next changes everything. Her gaze lifted, meeting the frightened eyes of an empire. Brace yourselves. You're about to understand what our message really meant. And as Sentinel-9 charged with blinding light, every species in the galaxy felt the same instinctive jolt of terror. Humanity was not defending Earth. Humanity was coming for the Empire. The moment Phase 3 activated, the galaxy seemed to exhale, then hold its breath. Sentinel-9 ignited like a newborn star, its wings unfolding into a geometric bloom of shimmering arcs. The light spiraled outward, not as a weapon's blast but as a series of encoded pulses, each one traveling faster than conventional sensors could track. Imperial ships caught directly in the wave flared with cascading errors. Whole fleets dropped from warp like swatted insects. Across the Empire's territories, outposts went dark. Communication hubs blinked open and closed like a panicked heartbeat. On the Valorian flagship, the captain grasped the railing to steady himself. What is that construct doing to us? He shouted, voice shaking. Our hyperlanes, why are they collapsing? The ship's AI responded in a flat tone. External override detected. Hyperlane stability compromised. Then it paused, recalibrated, and uttered a line that made the entire bridge freeze. Override origin, Earth. A silence heavy as gravity filled the room. Evelyn appeared again, no longer framed by the soft lights of a command chamber, but illuminated by the raw glow of Sentinel-9 behind her. Her hair rippled in the energy currents, her figure small against the cosmic engineering unfolding around her. Yet she stood as though the galaxy itself had chosen her as its axis. You stole thousands of civilizations, she said softly. Conscripted species. Crushed worlds. Called it order. Called it destiny. But destiny isn't something you take. It's something that unfolds. The Draxan commander snarled. Human. You cannot unravel an empire in a single moment. Evelyn shook her head. We didn't unravel it in a moment. We unraveled it in silence. Slowly. Patiently. While you called us backward, we studied every weakness you hid behind your pride. She gestured toward the stars behind her. Those pulses, your systems interpret them as attacks. They're not. They're corrections. After centuries of tyranny, we're resetting the board. Across the galaxy, oppressed species received their first unfiltered transmissions in generations. Chains of encrypted obedience codes dissolved. Hyperlane toll gates shattered. Entire slave worlds blinked with new navigational freedoms. Dominion was collapsing not through devastation, but through liberation. The Valorian captains stared at her in horror. You would throw the galaxy into chaos? Not chaos, Evelyn said. Choice. Sentinel-9 expanded again, its panels rotating to reveal an interior structure humming with purposeful violence. For the first time since the Empire's founding, an alien force saw its reflection in something smarter, colder, and infinitely more prepared than itself. Your fleets are stranded, she continued. Your supply lines severed. But we left you one option: surrender. Step down peacefully. Let the species you harmed rebuild. And if we refuse? The captain whispered. Evelyn's voice softened to a near whisper. Then we finish what you started. Her words rippled outward with the inevitability of a verdict. On dozens of worlds, Imperial soldiers watched their weapons deactivate in their hands. Starbases locked themselves into stasis. War factories rebooted with blue-coded directives they did not recognize. The Empire wasn't falling by force, It was falling by design. The Hindu scholar on one stranded cruiser wept openly. The old text spoke of this, he murmured. A species of delayed wrath. They endure. They warn. They plead for peace. But if ignored, they retaliate with precision so absolute that even gods would bow. The Draxan commander roared. We will not bow to mammals. Evelyn smiled gently. Oh, sweetheart, everyone bows to physics. Sentinel-9 pulsed again. This time, the wave formed visible tendrils, like filaments of living metal stretching across the darkness. They wrapped around Imperial cruisers, not crushing them, but immobilizing them. Gentle, terrifying restraint. You see, Evelyn said, we don't destroy lightly. Humans reserve destruction for when all other avenues fail. That's why we gave you every chance. The Valorian captain felt his resolve fold in on itself. Why us? He whispered. Why target the Empire? Why risk so much? Evelyn looked away for a moment, just long enough for something heartbreakingly human to flicker across her expression. Because we saw what you did to weaker species. Because we saw what you planned for ours. Because history has taught us that sometimes peace requires someone willing to step into the fire. Her gaze returned to the captain, steady and unflinching. And because we promised we would defend ourselves if pushed. We keep our promises. A new tremor shuddered through the flagship. Panels crackled. Engines sputtered. Lights swirled in warning. Across the bridge, crew members braced themselves, yet nothing exploded. Nothing ruptured. Instead, their ship turned. Not by their control. By humanity's. Their NAV screen displayed a single new destination. Neutral Exile Zone 3A. The Empire's elite were being forcibly escorted to the same remote sector, where they once banished dissidents. You can't. The captain gasped. That region is barren. And safe, Evelyn replied. Consider it a cooling-off period. Her compassion somehow cut deeper than any aggression could. One by one, Imperial vessels across the system aligned with identical coordinates. The fleets resisted, engines howling, but their resistance was nothing against the inexorable pull of the network humanity had hijacked. A tidal force of pure strategy. You were never fighting our weapons, she said. You were fighting our preparation. The Draxan commander slammed his claws against the interface. Human. You claim mercy, yet you dismantle an empire. Yes, Evelyn said quietly. Because mercy without consequence is permission. The last hyperlane collapsed behind the immobilized armada, stranding them entirely. The Empire's horizon shrank to a single, unchangeable truth. They had lost. Humanity had not only anticipated their attack, they had built an entire counter-infrastructure beneath their notice. Evelyn stepped closer to the display, her face filling the screen. There was no cruelty in her eyes. Only clarity. We warned you not to test us, she said. We asked for peace. Again and again. But your pride was louder than our restraint. Her final words carried the warmth of an elegy. And now it's too late. Sentinel-9 began its final transformation, its panels shifting into a colossal ring of energy that surrounded the Imperial fleets like a cosmic halo. A soundless hum vibrated through every ship. It wasn't a threat. It was a seal. A boundary. A promise kept. Evelyn exhaled. This is our last message to the Empire. We will help rebuild what you broke. But we will not let you break anything else. The Valorian captain's voice trembled. What happens now? Evelyn turned slightly, listening to unseen operators, then looked back with a calm, devastating certainty. Now, she said, Phase 4 begins. And as the screen cut to black, every Imperial officer felt the same dread-filled truth. Humanity wasn't ending the war. Humanity was beginning the aftermath.